enjoy belly dancing shows and paintings of belly dancers in Middle Eastern restaurants. But how often do we meet somebody who is both a painter and a belly dancer? Alexandra Molina is that artist. Tell me, when did you start belly dancing and painting?
Okay, great. So I started painting. Let's start with that one. That was first at a very early age, about 5 or 6 years old. And I'm the youngest of 4. I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. And I remember that my first painting was a T-Rex. It was a dinosaur. And I started belly dancing. I started with Arabic dance at 15 years old. That was in 2005 with Portia at Belly Motions.
And when was it that they both combined and became part of painting and dancing and like one thing?
Okay. Well, the art and the dance combined organically. It did it on its own. I didn't know I was going to be a professional belly dancer. I thought I was going to be an art historian, an artist, but that was only going to be my field. And then in college, I just started painting dancers, and I loved movement. I loved dance. So I started in college incorporating both of them together. Eventually it became part of my thesis for the visual arts and my group exhibition for my thesis at the very end at the Frost Art Museum at FIU.
How do you get inspired to create your paintings and your choreographies? What inspires your muse?
My muses. The inspiration to my work. A lot of it comes from when I dance and I perform, when I'm teaching with my girls. It comes from the feelings that I get, the emotions, and there's so many. There's a lot of them to go over, but I get them from my experiences. So some of the examples that I can give you for my inspirations is I either do commissions. Students hire me to make paintings for them and work on those paintings. So they inspire me. Their stories inspire me. How they get empowered through dance inspire me. If I'm working on my own paintings that are not commissions from other students, then I get inspired through my dance experiences, the emotions that run through me, the happiness, the soulfulness, how my body flows, how my hands flow, how my hips flow, and so a lot of it is created and inspired by movement itself.
She works on commissions, her own inspiration, and she teaches painting at her own studio. Adults, teenagers, and children and their pets spend some time together learning how to paint and appreciate art. Some of her painting students are also taking dancing classes with Alexandra at Belly Motions, where they learn how to dance with veils, canes, freehand movements, and much more. I know that you teach you teach dancing and painting. So how is that about? What is the experience like?
The experience of the world of teaching art. Okay, that's a really exciting one for me. Earlier this year, I created something called the Belly Dancers Art Club, and it was because a lot of my students were asking me, I want to learn how to paint, I want to learn how to draw, I want to learn about art, and they love dance, and I know they love dance, so I decided to fuse it together. I used to teach painting parties at Belly Motions, and those were a really fun night. Those were basically just one day, a workshop where I teach them painting, but these girls that have been asking me want to learn more. They want to learn about the techniques, and they want to continue painting. They want to progress with it. So the Belly Dancers Art Club is that chance, that opportunity for them to come and relax and to enjoy painting something that is in the same theme as belly dance. So they get to explore the Oriental dance or the belly dance world outside of the dance classroom and put their experiences on canvas. And it's sort of what I do, well, that is what I do actually, for my own paintings. So I put my experiences in my own paintings, and so now they get to put their experiences into their paintings. And that just fills my heart because they have such a fun time. And right now it's a small group of women, but they have such a fun time, and I have a fun time. So basically it's those classes. We have it about once or twice a month, and they work on a still life. So we're going to have live models, and one of the goals is to have an art or a group exhibition together in the summer. Yes.
Alexandra created even a calligraphy language that uses strokes of paint symbols that the students read as instructions of movements to dance. Please tell us about your calligraphy experiment with dancing and painting and, writing, dancing.
Okay, excellent. So this is, I call it the Calligraphic Dancer Project, and it was created in 2012. It started out as part of my thesis actually with back in college for my degree. Part of it was exploring Middle Eastern dance in terms of the visual arts. So I began experimenting and just exploring with calligraphy because I was fascinated with Japanese calligraphy. So I do have a set that I have learned from. I have tutorials that really go in depth into Japanese calligraphy, and I have a little bit of experience with Arabic calligraphy, although it's a different type of tool that we use to work with it. For the Calligraphic Dancer Project, I use a brush and black ink, and little by little throughout the years I created an alphabet for the dance movements of Arabic dance. There are 10 characters. I call them characters instead of letters. They're like letters, but they're characters, and they signify in general the different dance movements that we use for Arabic dance. For example, the figure 8. There's a lot of figure 8s in Arabic dance. This one, for example, has that figure 8. It's an infinity sign. And as dancers, we can use our upper body, our lower body, our arms, our hair, to do any sort of figure 8. So for this one, this dancer, this painting is utilizing the figure 8 character on her hips. Another example would be snake arms, arm undulations, and this is what this dancer, this character is doing. So I have it painted on her shoulder, on her upper body. And so the project continued into back in 2015, where I gathered a group of my students that wanted to learn. I asked them if they wanted to be a part of this calligraphic dancer project, learn the language, perform it. They let me video them, and we did a group exhibition together, and it was fascinating. They had so much fun learning the visual language. So as a teacher, instead of saying, okay, figure 8, they would see the character on the screen and they would perform that figure 8 however they felt like they wanted to. I created a video with a scroll, it's a moving scroll of the characters, and it's a choreography to Enta Amri, which is a very famous, very popular Arabic song by Kulthum, and they performed that Enta Amri song of the calligraphic dancer, and they just had a blast. So all of that is on my website in case anybody's interested in looking at the video and the group exhibition and the interviews that I got from that experience.
We want to know what are the differences in your experiences when you dance, for example, in the theater, in a restaurant, in your classes, at different places. Does the choreography change? How do you feel? How is it?
So I am mostly an improvisational dancer. I don't work with choreographies. Some dancers do. I like to first explore the environment, and then with the music that I choose for that event, whether it's at a restaurant, whether it's in theater, whether it's at a private event, a wedding, a birthday, I usually kind of sense the environment and then I work from there. I know I have a guideline always in my head of what I'm going to do, what I think I'm going to do, but I'm always ready for a change. So there is a big difference performing in theater versus performing in a restaurant or a private event, a wedding, a birthday. So in theater, we do really prepare. Most of the times I will have a choreography because it's that one number, that the 5 minutes you get on stage, and you want to make sure that you do give the audience everything that you wanted to give. And then for restaurants or the private events, those are a little more engaging with the audience because I'm closer to them. There's more interaction of me and the audience, so that will change. That one varies. Even if I have my script of the 5 or 6 songs that I'm performing to, both of them are very interesting. In theater, I like, although it goes by really fast. But in the other shows, I get more to work from. So when I take both types of performances into my paintings, it really depends. So let's say for this one, for example, this is a commission that I got from this wonderful dance student, and she absolutely loves dance. She loves the feeling, the emotion, the passion. So she wanted me to convey that. So when she tells me this, or when anybody who commissions me tells me these things and I interview them first, I ask them questions so that I know how they feel. I have to in turn look back on how I felt in my performances and fuse that together. So there's a lot of hair, there's a lot of hips, and there's this certain position that she's in that's a very romantic position. So I had to remember what that felt like when I was performing. So when I do perform, I try and be as very aware as I can to how I'm feeling, how the audience is feeling, how someone that I look at is smiling or not smiling. Sometimes that happens. And so that's how I grab. And it's always a constant cycle of me receiving and me giving. So and then they give and the audience gives, and it's this reciprocal situation. Or you could think of it as a figure 8 as well. So that is how that is.
We want to know, what is your daily routine as an artist?
Okay, that's a good one. That one always changes. That one is never set. I am not the type for routines. I do like them because they at least keep me structured, but it's been a battle, it's been a big challenge, and I'm still going through it, to balance both the painting and the dance worlds. Let's see, where do I start? So let's begin with the structure, and then with the challenges of doing my other stuff that I don't have the structure for. The structure is my constant classes at Belly Motions, the dance classes that I teach at the studio. There's about in between 6 to 8 classes that I teach per week, and that's set. So I work my schedule for my painting around that. usually come to the art studio about 3 to 4 times a week. It depends how my week is how heavy my week is, how if I have big performances coming up that I have to stay at home and work for and work with, or if I don't. So my daily routine, if I had one, let's see, it would be I wake up early in the morning. I wake up around 8 or so. That's not early for some people, but for me that's early. Or 7:30 or 8. I make coffee. I stretch. I make sure I do my stretches or my yoga stretches in the morning. I make sure I'm awake. I walk my dog, my baby girl. I write in the mornings. I do a lot of writing. That's something that's definitely has to be part of my routine. It helps me focus on my daily activities and my thoughts. And usually my ideas come out a lot in my writings and in my journal. And then after that, I either get to the studio here at 11 a.m., maybe 12 to 1, depends on the day. And then I will go home at around 7 or 8. And if I do have a class that day, then I won't come to the studio. I usually don't mix the days that I teach with the days that I come to the art studio. It's a lot of work. Painting takes so much energy out of me that when I'm done with it, I just want to eat and sleep, watch a movie, and drink my tea, and that's it. So that's like my daily routine for my work.
Now, I noticed that your hands are very important for the kind of art that you do, for dancing and for painting and using your brushes. So, what are some of the movements and special care, if you take care of your hands, that you practice?
Okay, so definitely hands are our vehicle of communication. They have to be ready for dancing and for painting. So let's see, in terms of painting and dancing, actually, we need a lot of flexibility and a lot of motion from our wrist. Not too tense in our hands. We can't be too tense as dancers or artists. So, for example, if I grab a brush, it's like this, and very, very lightly, not too far down, and definitely not like a pen or a pencil, but it's very, very light here, and I use a lot of my wrist to work the paint into the canvas. And in terms of dancing, when I dance, yes, there are certain times where we dancers use our hands to communicate, and there are times when we don't use our hands. And that's very important, because we don't want to distract the audience with too much hand movement all over the place. And also, hands signify if we're nervous or if we're steady, we're confident, right? So I take very good care of my hands. I do exercise them. I use a lot of hand waves, hand circles, stretches, and my hands actually are, I have a lot of difficulty because mine are actually double jointed. So and I always tell my students this, if I stretch my hands out all the way, there's some bending of the fingertips that I personally don't like. So I have to work my muscles so that they can look pretty. So I've had some challenges here and there with my hands, but overall I think that they just have to be flowy, and they have to communicate whatever energy that I'm sending while I'm dancing. And in terms of taking care of them and the skin, of course, health is always number one for all artists, especially for me, because I use oil painting and they can be very toxic to the hands. So I make sure that I wash the oil off very well, and the other liquids that I have to use. And I moisturize every night, every day after I paint, and I take very good care of them because they're important to my life. They make everything for me.
As a visual artist, both when dancing and painting, how do you put things together? How do you combine things to create new things?
do a lot of research. My work has changed, and I notice that when it changes, it's because I'm interested in something else. So sometimes I'm interested in veil dancing, and so I research the veil, I take videos, I take photos, I observe a lot, and I use that as inspiration for my paintings. The way that I end up choosing what's in the composition happens when I'm interested in something in dance. So many times I like to dance with my hair or my hands or the shoulders. These few things express a lot of emotion, and those are the specific things that I choose to be the focal point in the paintings. So let's go back on the topic of the hair. So hair is something that as belly dancers we use a lot of. We flick our hair, we dance with it, we move it around. There's a lot of energy that comes from this area, on our bodies, and it's a very feminine to use the hair. So that's one thing that I choose to put into my compositions, because I like it, because I feel it when I dance. And another thing would be the shoulders. The shoulders and the upper body expresses a lot of emotion. So if you think of Marilyn Monroe, she has a lot of poses with her shoulders, or from the 1920s and 30s, the pinup women and the pinup models had a lot of expression, and a lot of that can translate from dance into my paintings. So those are the few things that go into my composition in my paintings. And as an artist, it's important to use a focal point so that you can guide the audience into the painting, so that it's not too messy and there's not too many things happening. I like a lot of space. I like a lot of zen and balance. Like I mentioned with the calligraphic dancer, I'm very much into the Asian arts, into Japanese calligraphy, and the spacing around an object or an element, a line or a contour. So I try and work with that so that the painting can have breath, so that it can breathe as we breathe when we dance, or as we hopefully for some of us, we breathe while we're performing, inhaling and exhaling. And that's very important for both while I paint in my process, and also the process of while I'm dancing.
Tell us, what do you have for future plans? What are some of the goals that you are planning, or activities, or any surprises for us?
Well, a surprise is a surprise. For the future, I plan to, let's go with dance. In terms of dance, I hope to travel more. I love traveling and dancing. I love meeting new people. I love being in new cities and new belly dance environments. They're all different. They're all very unique. And in terms of the visual arts, for the future, I'm going to continue with the Belly Dancers Art Club, and I have a couple more commissions that are coming through, so that's exciting because I love working on commissions. I really, really like working with that one person that wants that belly dance painting and has their own story. I really like exploring other people's stories. Hopefully there'll be some more exhibitions with my work, but who knows? There's a lot happening in 2018 and 2019, so we'll hold it for now.
Any message you want to send to young people about their dreams or about painting and dancing, or any of the things that come to your mind to the future generations?
Oh, definitely. That's always very important. Have a lot of courage to do exactly what you love to do. I remember someone once telling me that I had to choose between art and dance, and I could only do one. And I looked at them, and in my heart, I said no. I said I will do both dancing and art because that is what I love, and it's important that I do put them together.
And we interviewed some of Alexandra's students who also gave us some interesting insights about painting and dancing. And they were so happy to share with us what they have learned from Alexandra. Can you show us some movements that you have learned with Alexandra?
Sure. Well, I'm just learning a little bit. So you can do something big like this. You can flick it. You can use it a little bit like a veil. Lots of fun stuff.
How have you improved with your hand movement with Alexandra's classes?
Oh, the hand movement is it's super hard to do because usually your hands are like this, and she tells you to wiggle your hands. You wiggle them and you go like this so that you can, make them look softer and prettier. And if you practice while watching TV at home and you start doing little waves, it kind of helps everything.
Today I have learned to not only focus on one color when you're painting, because when you bring all the other colors to the painting, it can distract what the eye sees depending on what the object is. So that's something I learned today.
What I like about here is that it's more personal, because we know Alexandra, we dance with her, she's our teacher, but she knows like each of our personalities. So when we paint, it's more like, it's a club. It is a club. It's not something you do once. You come once or twice a month, and then we do little field trips. What are the little field trips called? I think they're called pop-up drawings, where we go somewhere, and it's just different, because I know Susan and me and Dee dance, and my daughter, so it's more like a personal thing. It's not more like a corporate thing. It's more of friends hanging out and painting, doing something they like on a Sunday.
And we had the opportunity to see Alexandra Molina at the Marouche restaurant dancing in a big event of belly dancing. Following Alexandra's steps with my camera was such an inspiration.
Have a lot of courage to do exactly what you love to do. So always speak your truth, always have courage to do all the things that you love to do, and work hard at it, and just love everything that you can, everything that you can do with your work. You will have a very good life if that happens, and a very successful and abundant life.
This was Zoila Clark reporting from FAU.